Hi, I'm Darren from Platinum Consultants, and I'm going to take you through one of our walkthroughs, which is the housekeeping of Simpro. So from time to time, you might want to do some housekeeping, making sure that all your data is correct. If you haven't done this for a while, you might find you actually have lots of data in there that you don't need. You might have some old settings, some old configurations. You might have data that you should be keeping that you're not actually recording. You might have duplicates, and you might have some unnecessary setup items that we could possibly remove and make things cleaner. There might also be features, or there might be utilities and things in Simpro that have been added to your system since you started with Simpro, or maybe have always been there, but you haven't thought to utilize them yet. So part of our full Simpro system checkup that we do, kind of like a health check, we would go through all of these things. This video serves as a companion guide to our downloadable housekeeping checklist. So we'll take you through a brief version here, but the full version with everything that you should be checking on a regular basis will be in that downloadable document. So let's get started. Basically, we're going to start with people. So often these are the biggest items that you're creating regularly, and so they can easily get duplicated or get a bit messy with old customers, duplicate customers, sites, and the like. All areas should be checked. So when you go to customers, what you're looking for is if you've got any duplicates in here that you don't need, any customers that you don't use that often. For example, you could actually use the customer archive report, and that'll show you the customers you haven't used for a date range. Regarding sites, you can actually end up with thousands of sites, and of which a lot of them could be duplicates. It's not easy to find the duplicates aside from just visually checking. If you do type something in, you might find that two of the same item come up or very similar, in which case you should merge them together. So if you do find two that are similar, then a good idea, just right click on one, merge the site into another one. And if you click merge, those two sites become one. The one you want to click on is the one that you don't want. So whichever one you click on is going to merge inside the other one. If there are multiple contacts or if there are jobs, etc., you'll actually find that the site you merge into, that's the site name and the site address, which is kept throughout the system. And the other address just kind of merges into the one that you select second. So do that for customers that are duplicates, do that for sites that are duplicates. And you can also do that for contacts. Contacts is very common to have duplicates because the same contact could be on multiple customers or multiple sites legitimately. And so there is actually a report you can run under contacts, duplicate contacts, and you can choose what items do we check on. So in this case, if we tick mobile and email, then there must be a mobile number that is identical to some other contact record, as well as an email in the same record. So if there were duplicates, let's try this. So we've got 3 John Smiths, one of them with the reception at Platinum Consultants, one with Darren at Platinum Consultants, but they do have the same mobile, but they don't have the same email address. Now, in this case, really, they're probably all the same thing. So I know that Darren has his own record, so he doesn't need the same email. This phone number, this email, and the top John Smith is going to be kept, in which case we can merge those together. And anywhere where there were 3 contacts or different contacts for John Smith, we'll now have the one that we specifically selected. So that is something that's worth doing regularly too. Within here, you've got employees and you've also got contractors and you've also got suppliers. So check through those regularly. Are there any suppliers you don't use anymore? You can clean those up and archive them. Any contractors you don't use anymore? And what about employees? Any employees you don't really need to report on in Simpro? Why not archive them? Next, we'd go through our projects. So within projects, we've got leads, quotes, jobs, and recurring jobs and invoices. And also we'd probably tag in purchase orders into that area as well. The main thing is, do you have a whole lot of leads in your system that you're not working on anymore? Maybe you're not using leads at all. If you don't need leads, consider turning off leads in your security group. So it's not even appearing as a menu item. It's not appearing as a tab. Starts cleaning up your whole system. The other thing to do is any of these areas, whether it be quotes, jobs, invoices, etc., why not go through the modify table view and see what columns you might actually use. Now, some of these columns are added over time. So if you haven't looked at this for a while, there might actually be extra columns in here that you didn't realize. Move them up and down, which actually moves them left and right in the order that you see them on the page. Hit save and finish, and then you should see those different columns enabled or disabled based on what you selected. So with quotes, what you're looking at with quotes is Are these quotes still in play? Could I still win these quotes? Am I going to follow them up? If you're not going to follow them up anymore, archive them straight out into the closed and archived. Keep in mind that if it is a quote, someone calls back and says, actually, I'd like to go ahead with that 6 kilowatt solar system, please. You can just find it in the archived, right click, reopen quote, reprice it, do whatever you need to do. But really, this open quotes list should be the list of quotes that you're actively planning on following up. Under your jobs list, you've got, of course, pending, progress, complete, and invoice. There should be no jobs in pending or progress or complete that you're not going to attend to anymore and that you're not going to invoice, etc. So under the pending tab, these are the jobs that we are working on, but we can't start just yet. Maybe you've started them, they got paused for some reason, the construction stage is waiting for the next stage to happen. It moves back to pending and it stays there. My recommendation here would be to put a due date on it. So then you can always see when the next thing is due for this particular job. Once a due date hits, you'd look at the notes and you say, what do I need to do with this job? Do I need to call the customer? Should I check on the materials to see if they've arrived, etc.? If nothing more needs to be done and you need to wait another couple of weeks, reset the due date for another few weeks. No job should be in this pending list if you don't plan on continuing anymore, and also shouldn't be in this list if you have no idea what the next sort of step is for it. So due date and notes will tell everybody what's going on. The in progress list, all of these jobs should be actively in progress. If you can't continue with this job for a little while, you should move it back to pending and do, as I said just before, with the notes and the due date. These jobs you should be working on, you should be out there. So really, there shouldn't really be a job in progress that isn't scheduled, unless it's a manufacturing or just a delivery of materials. Really, we're not working on it. It should be pending. The idea then is we should be looking at this job list regularly, make sure that we are working on all of these. If any of these are stalled for a period of time, then we should move them back to pending. We should find out what's going on, or if they can be invoiced, we should move them to completed. So on the completed list, these are all the jobs that you should actually be working on, ready for invoice. The job has been completed on site. We're now just waiting for a last little bit before we can actually send the invoice off. If there are any jobs in this list that you're the warranty or you're not planning on invoicing, do the paperwork you need to do and archive it. Don't keep anything on the completed list that you don't need to have here. So the pending, progress, completed are all technically active jobs that we're going to work on or that we are working on. Anything that we don't plan on working on anymore, credit it, archive it, but get it out of pending, progress, complete. Invoices, if there are invoices in here that are very overdue, you need to decide whether or not you're going to collect the money or whether you're going to void it, credit it, and make sure that the job is archived as well. If we're not going to collect the money after all this time, Elvis Presley here doesn't seem like he's going to pay his bill. Maybe we should write it off. So just right click, create a credit note to write off that invoice. And that's the end of that. Same deal with contractors. We might have a whole lot of pending work orders in here where the contractor's finished or they're no longer coming back to do work. Let's archive all those contractor work orders to get them out. Purchase orders, same deal. The pending list are orders that we're waiting on. This one seems to be the biggest one where there's lots and lots of orders in the list. Any orders that are in here that we're no longer waiting on goods, we should archive them. This list is for orders we're waiting on goods or invoices to be received before they will move to the received or completed list. So they can be removed and archived as needed. On the recurrings list, if you've got recurring jobs you're not using, but they are up for creating the recurring job, we pretty much want to archive them and get them out of the jobs list, because what will happen is they'll be giving you alerts for jobs that you never plan on creating in Simpro. So either skip that period, so it'll alert you next year or next month or next quarter, or archive the job if you're not planning on doing anything with it. That'll get it out of your alerts. Same deal with invoices. If you've got recurring invoices that you're never going to send or never going to create, why not archive them? Stop it from alerting you too much. So now it brings us to our catalog and materials. So within the catalog, what I would recommend to do is just put a percentage in here, and this will tell you how many products you've got. Now, if you've got more than about 4,000 in your catalog, maybe 5,000 at the most, you've probably got too many. In our experience, around 3,000 to 5,000 is the maximum number you need in your catalog. A lot of people just think importing a whole heap of products is a good idea. After you've been using it for a while, it gets harder and harder to find anything and harder for anything to be updated in the system. So 10,000 is probably okay, but it's still probably double what you need. But we see, 200,000, 500,000 items. That's way too many. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are not auto importing anything. So when you go to, say, Lawrence and Hanson or any of these other catalog imports that could be automated, when you connect, you'll get a screen that asks you what you would like to do. It'll look a bit like this. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do a complete import, and we don't want to do an update and create. We want to make sure that we're only doing update only. The update only ensures that all the catalog items you've got in your system are kept up to date, but we're not bombarding the system with creating new items and new items. If you are planning on doing a catalog cleanup, then you don't want to get all these items back in again the next day. So make sure you check all of them, and they all should be update only for a catalog import. On the supplier invoice import, it's no problem to create it, because if you bought it, then it should go into the catalog. So when you're importing, once you've done these 3 boxes, you'll get below this some settings. A bit similar to this, we want to create a new part. So every time you are importing a supplier invoice, yes, create a new part. Every time you're importing a supplier catalog that's automated, update only. All right, that should keep your materials. Now, how do I get rid of all the materials in here? It's a little bit difficult. We don't want to get rid of anything that is actually in active use. So we do have a way that we can clean up your catalog. Talk to us about a catalog cleanup. We have some set prices and some automation we can do to try and help speed things up. If you've got hundreds of thousands, that could take you weeks or months to do. So we should be able to do it within 3 or 4 hours, and it should get all done for you. Basically, anything that's been bought, anything that's been sold, anything that's on a quote, anything that's on an invoice, anything that's in stock, or anything that's been used in a pre-build, we keep them. You just tell us how long for. So anything that was sold in the last 2 years, or anything we've purchased in the last 2 years or 3 years, whatever your date range is, we'll keep all of those. Everything that's never been used and it's not on a quote or job or pre-build, we can archive all those. And we rename them as well to make sure that it's easy to spot the ones that have been archived. If there is a rogue item that shows up somewhere, you'll know it. And then the reason it would probably show up is because there's a duplicate. So one of them that you're using has been archived, has the same part number as another one that is in the system. So we can merge those two together, and that makes sure that the one item, which used to be 2, is now the one that's used in your system correctly throughout. Keep in mind, if there are any duplicate parts with the same part number, you will find that these parts have only one of them updating. If there are 2 parts in the system, the first one will update and the second one will not. And you can't really control which one is getting updated. So we don't want any duplicates. So I'd recommend to go to reports, go to the stock. We want to go to duplicate catalog items and have a look through this list and make sure you don't have any duplicates. If you do, this is a good way to merge them together. There's lots of areas that we also need to look at in order to keep this video under 20 minutes. I'm just going to very briefly go through a couple of settings. Full details are in the downloadable document, which you'll see underneath this video. So check your labor rates. Have you calculated your overhead recently? Are these the current estimated cost rates for all of your types of labor? Another thing to check is, are there any activities that we can get rid of? If you've got too many activities, just makes it hard to choose for the technicians on their mobile, because they have to scroll through all of these activities as well. A lot of people end up with a whole lot of status codes that aren't really relevant. If yours are, that's fantastic. You're in the minority. Go through the status codes. Are there any we can get rid of? Are there any that are not being used? And should we be updating the colors to make sure that they're a bit more relevant for us? Notifications, make sure you are using the notifications. If you're not, there's a lot of good things you can do with them. You can get them to follow up quotes for you, unpaid invoices, get them to follow up purchase orders you haven't received yet, etc., etc. So use your notifications. We can help you with that if you need to. Scripts are a really good one. Go through the scripts and get rid of any that you're not using. Make sure you're assigned the right cost centers so they only show up in the specific types of work that you need them for, and the scripts for all different areas as well. Forms is another good one to go through. Get rid of all the forms that you don't need, so you can actually make them disappear out of the list, because there's all kinds of forms in the system that have never been used. I mean, when was the last time you needed a fax sheet? So you can get rid of all of those so they're no longer in the menu. I would be recommending to customize your quote forms at least, because when you're actually sending a quote, that's the first real record that your customer's going to have of you. So you want to put your best foot forward. We can do some pretty amazing things with quotes, make them look like, glossy brochures, essentially. There's no limit to how many items or how many different types of quotes you can have for different purposes. one for real estate, one for commercial, one for domestic, one for your builders, and one for existing customers. It's quite short, one for first-time customers, which might be quite long with about us, etc. If you get a graphic designer, we can make it look really good. If you can do it in Word, essentially we can do it for you in Simpro as a quote form. We can add images in there. We can add all your asset test results, all your safety stuff can all go into quotes and jobs as well. All right, that's about all we've got time for in this quick snapshot video. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Don't forget to download the actual document, work through that. And again, if you need any help, we actually do a half day, a 4-hour health check, which will run through all the housekeeping stuff. We'll also go through anything and work through. We can do an overhead calculation with you. We can actually clean up your catalog. There's quite a few things we can do and provide you some advice on even third-party apps that maybe will help your Simpro journey be even better. I'm Darren Whitby from Platinum Consultants. Don't forget to contact us for anything Simpro related. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Thanks again for watching.